Hi there, my name is PixelPanda82, also known online as Mackie Knickknack, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this YouTube video, I'm going to be doing another Sims 4 household tour. I've done one of these before with the first ever Sims 4 family I ever created and played with fully. But this time I'm going to be doing it not with that family, but I'm going to be doing it with my first ever legacy challenge. Now, if you don't know what a legacy challenge is, basically there are a lot of different versions out there with a lot of different rule sets, but the basic rule set is that you have to start with one sim and a limited amount of money, and you eventually have to get to 10 generations in that legacy family. Now, I haven't completed this legacy family. I'm only about Gen 4 transitioning to Gen 5, so I'm about halfway, but I'm not finished yet. I just want to be very transparent with that this is not a finished legacy challenge, but this is the first ever legacy challenge that I decided to do, and that the furthest I've gotten. I've done a couple of different legacy challenges as I've played through The Sims 4, but this is the furthest one that I've gotten, and the first one that I started. As usual, I'm going to be showing off this family in my forever save file, which is like a rotational save file where I play all my different families and stuff in the one save file. I didn't always have them in this save file. I transferred them over from the save file that they're originally from to this forever save file about when Gen 4 started. But yes, that's just something to keep in mind, that this is technically not the save file that they started in, but it's the one that I'm continuing to play them in. Now, to get started, I better find the founder. I've got a lot of different Sims here. But the founder is, where is he? His name is Dustin. So the whole thing about this legacy challenge is that I wanted to live in Oasis Springs, because I never usually live in Oasis Springs. I usually live in Willow Creek or Newcrest. When I started playing this, I only had the base game as well, so I thought I should probably try and give Oasis Spring a try. And because of it living in Oasis Spring, the whole theme of the legacy challenge, mostly the naming theme, but a little bit of the aesthetic of their clothes and stuff, is like a Western Wild West cowboy sort of thing. So their last name is McGee. This is the McGee Legacy Challenge, and this is Dustin, the founder, who is kind of just a chill dude. He's got the loyal, active, and bro trait, and he was an artist when he was alive. He's obviously not alive now. This is like long dead since he's been around. But this is the founder, yeah. He did go through a lot of changes, because I like to update my Sims whenever they age up and give them a little makeover for that. So this isn't what he originally looked like, but this is what he looks like now. As you can see with his party outfit, he's very much inspired by a classic cowboy. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he is only made with the base game. He might have a couple of packs in his outfit, but generally he's made with just the base game. His storyline, because I love making storylines in The Sims 4, his general storyline is that he kind of struggled to find love, but he became a painter. That's what he first started out as. Like he tried to struggle a little bit trying to find money when he moved out, but then he became a painter, and then he eventually found love with Tiffany Price, his eventual wife. This is a sim that I got off the gallery, and I just really liked her, and I think she would be a good match for Dustin, and so they got married. She has the materialistic, ambitious, and cheerful trait, and she also has the mansion baron aspiration. And she apparently died by steam. I didn't know that happened. I didn't even have that pack spa day when she died, so I'm surprised that she's marked as death by steam, but whatever. Tiffany is very much like a businesswoman. She was in the business career, and she's very yeah, I guess she's just a very classic businesswoman, very straight, is very ambitious, as with the ambitious trait, and really wanted to get higher up in her career. She also did a little bit of writing in her old age, but that didn't go very far, since she sadly passed away of old age, of steam, I guess, before she could become a famous writer. That's Tiffany. I do believe I gave her a bit of a makeover when after she became an elder, because this isn't originally what she looked like on the gallery. But yeah, this is just what she looks like now. The next generation, I so with one of the rule sets that I have for this legacy challenge is that the founder or the next heir has to be randomized. Just because I like to spice it up a bit and make things a bit random, and then I don't get attached to one specific sim, and I like try and always like focus on their life and skills. Otherwise, you know, I don't want to be having a little bit of favoritism. So this is Robin, who is the oldest child of Dustin and Tiffany. I thought she was going to be the founder, but then when I randomized the middle child, who we'll introduce later. So she didn't end up being the founder, unfortunately, but she was still a pretty cool sim. She had the soulmate aspiration. She had a bit of drama in her life. Her husband that she married as like her high school sweetheart sadly passed away after they moved out, which was just through neighborhood stories, which I thought was very dramatic and very interesting. But then she married this guy named Herman, and they had kids. I sadly don't have the kids in this save file. I only have the kids in like the other save file, but I couldn't transfer them over because they had been like deleted, but also weren't deleted. It was very strange, but that's Robin. But as I said, Robin wasn't actually the heir of Gen 2. The Gen 2 heir was named, if I can find her, her name was Annie, which I felt like was a pretty good Western name. This is Annie. No, this is Ralph, actually. This is Annie and Robin's adoptive brother, Ralph, who I decided to adopt just for the fun of it because I never had adopted a sim before, and he became a really favorite sim of mine, to be honest. But he had a similar story with that Robin had, where he went off and got married and stuff, but all of his children and his partner got deleted, and I couldn't transfer them over to this save file, which is a bit unfortunate, but there's not much I can do about it. This is Annie. She was a very tech-minded person. She had the tech guru career. She has the good, slob, and jealous trait, and she also had the successful lineage aspiration. Same story with the how many packs she had. She might have like a couple of the early packs that I started buying when here's a kit that I've got now. But she doesn't have very many packs in her outfit and in her design and stuff. She eventually married Paul Goth, who was a relative of the Goth family. I believe he was Cassandra Goth's son in the original save file. This is him. He sadly, when he was quite young and when their children were quite young, he got struck by a meteor, which was may or may not have been intentional. I may or may not have tried to do that, but it was an interesting storyline. It was interesting to see how it play out like that. And yeah, it was just fun. I don't know. You're not a real simmer unless you try to kill off a sim, I guess. Which is a bit sadistic, but it's just how the Sims 4 is. He has the geek, loyal, and lazy trait, and they eventually had 2 kids, one of which became the heir, obviously. But I'll show off the older sister first. This is Estella McGee, who was the Gen 3 sibling. She was a pretty cool sim, actually. She was probably one of my favorite siblings in this legacy so far. She loves plants and stuff. She loves the outdoors. She's also a geek and a music lover. She had a whole gardening thing. She loved gardening, and she loved to have plants in her room. She had tons of plants in her room, very green. I didn't have the gardening career back when I played with her, but she if I did, she would have 100% been a gardener. At this point, I hadn't done any rotational gameplay yet, so now what I do is I play rotationally with all the Sims heirs siblings. So like I'll play with, like I would have played with Estella if I did that rotationally, but I didn't do that back then. This was the last generation that I didn't play rotationally. They married Lucas Munch, who was just a randomized, not a randomized townie, but like a townie from Get Together. And they eventually had a couple of kids, one of which is now named Jim, who I don't know what, like Jim isn't someone I play with. He's not someone I play rotationally with, so I don't really care much about Jim or any of the others. But that's just a couple of other Sims that were in the legacy. And now this is where it all gets very interesting, because now we get to Gen 3, which is where Richie McGee is. So Richie McGee is the son of Annie and Paul, and then also obviously Estella's brother. And he has the evil trait. Another thing that I like to do with this legacy challenge is that I like to randomize the traits, just because I think it's a little bit more interesting to come up with storylines if I don't have a storyline already set in stone. And yeah, he randomized the evil trait, which was a bit unfortunate. I actually remember when I randomized it, I was like, no, I didn't want that. And then I deleted it and then randomized it again, and I still got the evil trait. So I was like, okay, I guess he's evil now. He also has the foodie and the loner traits, and has the fabulously wealthy aspiration. He also had a couple of other aspirations. The main one that he finished, which was one that kind of dictated his whole storyline, was the the villainous Valentine aspiration. And he had a very interesting life, Richie. He cheated on a lot of people, to put it bluntly. He would always go around and have a lot of partners and stuff. And then eventually he met Morgan Fires, I think that's how you say her name, from Get Together. And he was like, okay, this is the girl, this is the one that I'm wanting to marry and stuff. They were expecting a child together. But before he proposed, he was like, oh, I should probably go break up with all the other partners I have currently, because he was dating like 3 other people at the time. And she caught him breaking up with him, and then it came out that he was actually cheating on her their entire relationship and stuff. And then yeah, so they had a kid, and then she left the family and got Richie to raise the child all by himself. And so that was a very dramatic storyline. He eventually remarried to a sim named Jemima Randall, who was just a sim I made. She has the self-assured, mean, and loyal trait. And yeah, as I said, she was just a sim that I created. She was in the style influencer career. Just a sim that I think, you know, not a great person, but I think that kind of fits with Richie. At this time, I had also just gotten the cats and dogs pack, which means I had my first pet in the legacy, and being Buster, the standard, I don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah, his little dog, first ever dog in the legacy, which I think was pretty cool. And now we get to where we're kind of up to now in the legacy. We're at Gen 4 transitioning into Gen 5. Let me see if I can find the firstborn. So the firstborn of Richie and Morgan was, where is he? This is the firstborn. So yeah, Richie and Morgan's son, named Clyde McGee. He was a very smart kid. He was very clever, and like, he was a bit of a genius, you know, and hence why he has the genius trait. He also has the insider and lazy trait, and he became a astronaut as a career. But then that was before I had the Get to Work pack. So when I got the Get to Work pack, I got him to quit his job, and then he became a scientist. And he unfortunately passed away due by like he electrocuted himself during some sort of experiment that he was doing at home. And yeah, that's how he died. And then he left behind a couple of a little bit of a family. He married a sim that I made named Catherine. This is just, yeah, a random sim that I made. I think I've got her on my gallery if you want to have a look at her and put her in your own game. And they had 2 kids, Bentley, who is the oldest son, and then they also had another son named Owen, who is currently a teenager at the moment. I think Bentley's an adult. I'm currently playing this in like a backup save file. So this isn't my main save file at the moment. I'm just playing it in a backup. So, you know, if something goes wrong, I won't be messing with my main save file. But Owen might be an adult by now, but I can't remember. They also had two kittens, little cats, because Catherine has the cat lover trait. So they had Banjo, just a little black cat, and then also Pockets, an Egyptian Mao. And the next person in the family tree, the next born, was the current heir, but I'll skip her for now, and I'll go straight to, where are they? Here we go. Here's the current, the next family, the next kid. So this is Butch. He's a insider, a slob, and a glutton, and he also has the bodybuilder aspiration currently. And he's a chef. He likes to cook food, and he does cooking basically as a career. He's actually a science baby. So after Richie and what's her face, Morgan, after they had their falling out and their divorce and stuff, and then Clyde was born and everything, Richie really liked having kids, or a kid, and then he had two science babies, Cassidy the heir, and then Butch the sibling. At this point I started playing rotationally as well, so with Clyde and Butch, and then the next sibling, who I'll get to later, I started playing rotationally in the save file. So I actually got to play with Butch for a little bit, but his storyline's kind of finished now, so I've moved on from him and moved on to the next generation, I guess. He married Penny Pizzazz from City Living, and they eventually moved to an apartment in San Myshuno together, and they had a very interesting storyline as well. Butch follows a bit in his footsteps with his dad, because he originally dated this girl named Emily, I think her name was, and they had a kid together named Vaughn. And then they had a breakup because Butch started cheating on the girl he was dating with Penny, and then they got married. And then Vaughn's mother died, Emily died, and then so now Vaughn is living with his father and his two what would you call it, half siblings, Haley, which is just like a natural born baby that they had with a pregnancy, but she is a twin, quote unquote twin, of Calvin, who is an alien, as you can see. At some point during the save I was playing in, Butch got abducted by aliens and became pregnant, so now he had a kid, and to disguise the fact that their kid was an alien, they kind of lined it up with the next kid that they had and kind of pretended that they were twins, just to make it seem a little bit less, what would you call it, a little bit less suspicious that a random baby came out of nowhere when Penny wasn't pregnant. And then they kind of hid the fact that Calvin was an alien for his whole life, basically. And that's his storyline. I'm not gonna play with Calvin or Haley or even Vaughn, because how I do it rotationally is I play with the heir's sibling. I have their kids and I live out their story and their life and stuff, but then I don't go onto their kids. I just switch to the next generation and then those heirs siblings, if that makes sense. Next up is Barnaby, who is the youngest son to Richie and is also the son of Jemima, the other sim that Richie married. He is an artist, or was an artist, I guess. He used to be in the art career, and then he became an art critic just because he was familiar with the artist side of the industry and he wanted to, you know, become critical, I guess. He didn't really enjoy the art side of it, so he became a art critic. This is Callie, his wife. She is a berry sim, so she's a grey berry sim. I like playing with berry sims sometimes, even though this isn't like the not so berry challenge, or this isn't like a berry sim save. It's just sometimes I like plopping in a berry sim that I've created and having them marry one of my other sims just for fun. She is gloomy, creative, and a perfectionist, and she is an artist. She's got the painter extraordinaire aspiration, and she is in the artist career, the painter career. And they kind of work as a duo, Barnaby and Callie. They kind of work as like, Barnaby will critique Callie's work, and Callie will feed information to Barnaby about the art industry. So they kind of work together like that. And then those two had twin children. They had Josephine McGee, who is, yeah, their daughter, and then she has a twin brother named Teddy, who is like a partial berry sim. So like he's got gray skin like his mother, but he doesn't have the gray hair, so he's not like a full berry sim. He's got black hair. So yeah, not a full berry sim, but like, you know, partial berry sim. And then they also have a cat named Hugh, named after like color hues and stuff. Barnaby found, actually, because he lived in the world from Cats and Dogs at one point, Brindleton Bay, and he found and adopted Hugh. But now they live in what is it called? The Sulani. They live in Sulani now. And before I go into the current household, I just want to quickly look at the two houses that I've created for the main family. These houses are just like, I've created other houses for the other siblings and stuff, but I just want to have a look at these only because I think they're more important than the siblings' houses. This is taking a while to load. Wow. So this is the house that I created during my time on like the first two generations, I want to say. This is originally Dustin's house that started off as like a little square box, and now it's turned into this nice little house. I think from memory, there was pictures up on the wall that had gotten deleted. Oh, I've still got some pictures here actually. That's cool. I should go gather these. This is Estella's room. This is Richie's room, and then yeah, currently we have Estella and Lucas. They ghosts, I guess, and then Jim living here. But yeah, this is the first gen house, which I'm really proud of. I think it's definitely not my best house that I've created, but it was the best considering I had very little experience at building houses in The Sims at the time when I did build it. This is one of the first ever houses I really built, and I think it turned out pretty good. It's got a rocket ship, it's got a hot tub, it's got one of these from the Backyard Stuff Pack. And yeah, I just think it looks really cool and really nice. And now this is the current house that my current heir is living in, the Gen 5 heir, who we'll get to in a second. I don't love this house as much as the other houses. I think or the other house that I built, I think it's kind of ugly. But again, I was very new to The Sims and I was learning how to build still. So I think it's all right for what it is and for when I built it. But it definitely could use a little bit more work, but I'm gonna have my sim move out eventually anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The lights are not on. I don't think I can turn the lights on from build menu, but this is the house, the indoor of the house. We got the current Gen 5 heir's bedroom, and then we've got a toilet here. What else have we got? We've got the Gen 5 heir's sibling, Bill. You saw that there. This is Bill's bedroom, and then this is Cassidy's bedroom, who we'll get into now. So this is the current household that I'm playing with rotationally. This is like the main household for this legacy. This is Cassidy, who is the Gen 4 heir, and you can see she's very much inspired by like Western movies and like Wild West cowboy stuff, especially for her main outfit. She also has the evil trait, which was very, very funny and kind of unfortunate how I got 2 heirs in a row with the evil trait, but there's not much you can do about it. It kind of just happened. And she was pretty evil. Like a little bit worse than her father. She got into fights with a lot of people, and yeah, it's a bit of a funny story. So she ended up marrying what was his name? Someone from the Cats and Dogs world, and then she ended up cheating on him with someone from City Living, and had 2 kids, and then so like one with the guy from City Living and one with the guy from Cats and Dogs, and the guy from Cats and Dogs got so angry when he found out that he died. So, you know, not not a great person, but I think it's fun to play with not good people from time to time, just to switch things up a bit, because, you know, not everyone in the world is good. So it's kind of cool to play with Sims that aren't that good. The kid from the guy from Cats and Dogs, I cannot remember his name. I think it's Pierce Delgado. This is his kid, Bill McGee. He's got the loner, loves outdoors, and high maintenance trait. I should also say that Cassidy also has the foodie and family oriented trait. And he's a bit of a nerd, Bill. He knows a lot of things, but he's also a bit antisocial. He's currently in my main save where like I'm more up to date. He's currently going to university to study robotics, and he's going to become like an engineer and probably be able to servo at one point. And he's just a guy. He hasn't got any, I don't think he's got a partner at the moment in the main save, but I'll continue playing with him, and then eventually he can have kids and stuff as the legacy goes on. But he's not the heir. This is the heir, Jules McGee. He has the goofball and clumsy trait, and he's going to be a doctor. He's going to go into the doctor career and become a doctor. I want him to kind of have the storyline that he wants to be a good person, but because of his family having a very bad reputation, he finds it difficult to be a good person because people just don't like him. So he's going to try and change his reputation and try and give him a new name, give himself like a new reputation outside of his family. He's also going to be a bit of a rags to riches sim. I'm going to move him to a new lot and then just play like with zero money and hopefully try and get enough money to build a nice house. That's all for my legacy challenge though. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. It's really fun to go back and just relive and well, how would you say it? Look back at the families that I've played with and just show people what it's like to how I've liked to play The Sims and what I've done in the storylines as I've played The Sims for so long. I mean, I started this legacy challenge, I want to say like two and a half years ago. So I've been playing it for a long time and it's been very meaningful to me, and I really want to share that with all of you. With that all being said, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like and maybe subscribe as well if you feel like it. If you're not sure if you want to subscribe, feel free to browse my channel. I've got tons of other videos on both The Sims and also some other content as well. And I would love it if you would come join our community just to hang out and stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.